Hey fellow tankers, Mobius Y here with another video for World of Tanks console. This relates to both the Xbox and the PS4 versions, as we are now talking about Update 3.0 nuts and bolts. Update 3.0 came out yesterday on May 26, 2016, and there have been some changes going on here. So I'm going to basically just list the major changes that have happened and highlight some of the features that have gone on, but I highly recommend you go through this list on your own time for sure, especially the changes made to certain tanks, so you can check to see if various aspects of your tanks have changed, whether they've been buffed, whether they've been nerfed. And remember, if your tank got buffed, simply appreciate Wargaming's insight quietly and continue playing that now overpowered piece of crap. And if your thing got nerfed, remember to cry and whine on the forums for days on end that your awesome tank is now completely worthless, even though all it's really done is aim in 0.1 seconds slower. Anyways, with that out of the way, first major change is the German Spy Panzer I Charlie. This is replacing the Awful Panther for a Tier 7 light tank. If you are familiar with the ELC AMX, it's fairly similar to that, apparently. So basically, if you owned the Awful Panther, you will now have a Spy Panzer I Charlie in your garage for free. If you do not have the Awful Panther in your garage anymore, any XP you spent on unlocking various packages in the Awful Panther will be unlocked in the Spy Panzer I Charlie, as it is changed over in the tech tree. There were some low tier changes to the US tech tree as well. The T-18 and T-82 Tier 2 and Tier 3 tank destroyers are now changed to Tier 3 and Tier 4 artillery respectively. Replacing them is the T-3 HMC and the T-56 GMC. In artillery itself, the T-57 at Tier 2 is replaced with a T-1 HMC. Again, same thing with the Spy Panzer. Your tank will be replaced in the garage if you already have one of these in your garage. So, there's also some updated maps. 6 battlefields are getting visual updates, and they are Highway, Prokhorovka, Karelia, Sacred Valley, Sand River, and Westfield. There's also a bunch of new Xbox achievements and PlayStation 4 trophies awarded. Feel free to take a look at those while you're on your console to identify exactly what is required to unlock them. There is now in-game stat sorting and filtering, just like in your garage. If you are in your stats tab before launching into a game, you go to your stats tab and you press up all the way to the top, and this filters menu will pop up just like if you were in your garage. You could set various aspects of these filters, and only tanks in your stats page which match the filters you have specified will show up, so it's a lot easier to check up on specific tanks that you were looking for instead of having to scroll through possible 200 or 300 tanks in your entire stats page. So we've got some new features, team training customizations. There are advanced options for team training. Players can now restrict their team training room by class, maps, game mode, and tier. Rooms can also be renamed and created as public or private. The in-game stats filters were also added. We've already discussed that. And the spectator heads-up display in team training modes. A new competitive gaming feature, spectator mode, allows one player from each team competing in team training battles to have an assigned spectator. Spectators have access to several functions, including tank rotation and free-moving camera. I'm guessing this is different from the current spectator mode that we have, where it's pretty much just a quote-unquote tank in the game, except you can fly around in a free-form camera. That's my guess. Don't quote me on that. There's also been over 90 tanks remade in HD and SD. The new SD models created for tanks never before seen on console. Some of the updated maps: Highway, console exclusive changes to add more cover in open fields. Prokhorovka, slight balance changes. Karelia, new playable areas. Sand River, Central Dry River is now easily traversable. Westfield, reduced hill inclines and easier to navigate pathways. And Sacred Valley, valley depth has been reduced with new pathways and mountain cover. Northwest corner of the map altered to balance out advantages of the north base. That's good to hear. So there was also one more major change that I want to highlight: gold-silver compensation changes. With Update 3.0, tankers will be compensated with the appropriate amount of silver instead of gold when purchasing or acquiring a premium vehicle already present in their garage. Additionally, any purchase of premium time that goes beyond the limit of 391 days will be refunded in silver for the surplus instead of gold. Before, if you bought a premium tank, say in a bundle, and you already owned the premium tank, you would be refunded in gold for the cost of that premium tank, but you would still maintain any premium time or supplies that were bought with that bundle. So I'm guessing that this is being changed because of people utilizing this as a potential exploit, constantly rebuying a bundle with a premium tank they already own in order to stock up on supplies and premium time for a very, very low cost of gold. That would be my guess. Don't quote me on it. Whether or not you agree, it's neither here nor there. That's basically how it is. Eagle Eye perk now works properly for artillery viewing spotted enemies as well. There's also been several changes to the maps, as I said. The title screen and launcher art have been replaced, and they look awesome, I must say. Fjord Standard spawns slightly moved. Serene Coast moved attacker spawn, creating 2 groups instead of 3. Serene Coast Standard, Team 2's flag base relocated for balance. Northwest Standard, Team 1 base relocated, and counter base moved slightly, and Team Destruction spawns spread out a bit. Malinovka Assault, both variations now use the Rain version of Assault, since this has proven to be the best placement of spawns and base flag. Fisherman's Bay Encounter, moved flag base for balance, moved Team 1 spawns for balance. Pacific Island, rocks added to break line of sight. Mountain Pass, rocks added to break line of sight. Northwest, encounter base slightly moved. Northwest, Team Destruction spawns spread out more. Tundra, assault base relocated with new spawn placements. Swamp, assault spawns moved. And Angst Standard, Team 2 base and spawns moved. There's also quite a few additional changes. Another good big one that I want to note is training tanks have been swapped out. I don't know what the hell this means. Please don't ask, because I'm not going to answer. I just don't know. So in the target practice, driving practice, and live fire practice training modes, the tanks have been changed to potentially upcoming premium tanks, allowing you to try them out before they become available for purchase. You have the ISU 122S in target practice. You have the AMX CDC in driving practice. I'm really excited to see that. Theoretically, this means we are going to be seeing the CDC soon. I hope so. And in live fire practice, you have the Russian version of the IS-2 instead of the Chinese IS-2. So this is a premium Russian IS-2. There's also a whole slew of bug fixes, a lot of it dealing with user interface and translations, more or less. I suggest you go through those on your own time, definitely. There's also been some bug fixes on various vehicles. The Wheezy 131, the T-52, the M5 Stuart, the M48A1 Patton, the T-127, and the Sherman Firefly have all had some bug fixes. There's been several maps that have had various bug fixes. 2 of the biggest ones are Ruinberg, removed floating rubble and added physics regions to prevent vehicles from accessing unintended areas. That's great because trolling on Ruinberg was really irritating. And Great Wall added physics regions to Mountainside to prevent access to unintended areas. Again, trolling on Great Wall, extremely irritating. I'm glad they fixed that up. So there's a slew of tank adjustments, and this is what everybody cares about. This is basically determining whether your tank was nerfed and or buffed. As I said, if it was buffed, silently thank Wargaming and play your OP piece of crap now till the end of time before it gets hit with a nerf bat again. I'm just kidding. But I am dead serious. If your tank got nerfed, you need to go to the forums and cry about it for days on end that your tank is now useless. So, on the China tanks, there's quite a few changes here. Mostly rotation and movement dispersion factor decreases to most of the scout tanks, starting with the 5916, including the Wheezy 131 and Wheezy 132. That's largely what's going on, plus reload time decreases on those 3 scout tanks as well, meaning they will now shoot faster and maintain better accuracy on the move. The Type T-34 has been updated to an HD model and looks like it got a slight nerf to its side armor by about 5mm. Not a huge deal, it's still a really good side scraping tank, especially at Tier 5. 113 received terrain resistance buffs. This is the Tier 10 heavy tank. Some buffs to the terrain resistances so it can move around quite a bit better. Good to hear and see the Chinese tanks getting some love. French tanks, a couple changes. The biggest one is the Foch 155 getting hit with a big nerf bat. The Foch 155 had its view range reduced 20 meters from 400 to 380, and it will maintain less camo after firing each shot. That's what this invisibility after shot reduction means. It means the Foch 155 specifically will not maintain as much camo rating after each shot. Also, the final 155mm gun had an alpha damage nerf on its standard AP and premium heat ammunition from 850 to 770. So quite the nerf bat hit on the Foch. Forgot to mention the AMX 1375. Terrain resistance buffs, so it should move around quite a bit better, and it will maintain better accuracy when moving on both types of suspension. The 75mm SA-50 gun also has better shot dispersion during turret rotation as well. So with the 75mm SA-50 gun, you will basically maintain better accuracy while moving. The Foch Tier 9 TD, view range reduction from 390 to 380 meters, and it will maintain less camo after shooting as well. The AMX AC-46 Again, maintaining less camo rating after shooting. This is another French, I believe this is the Tier 8 tank destroyer. So basically, all of the high-tier French tank destroyers maintain less camo rating after firing, so it will be easier to spot them after they shoot now. The ARL V39 movement and rotation dispersion factor decreases so that it is more accurate on the move. The 105mm gun shot dispersion during turret rotation decreased, meaning it's now also more accurate when rotating the turret, and the 90mm gun AC DCA-45 aim time decreased from 2.9 to 2.6 seconds, so the 90mm gun will aim in a little bit quicker. The B1 has movement and rotation dispersion factor decreases, so buffs to the on-the-move accuracy on the B1, as well as the health was increased on the B1 APX-4 turret, so it should be harder for the turret to sustain critical damage and become jammed. The D1 suspension, D1 and D1 Biz both received terrain resistance buffs, so they should move around a little bit better. And the movement and rotation dispersion factors on the upgraded suspension have been decreased, so they will be just a tad more accurate while moving. The ELC AMX also updated to HD. Couple changes there. Displayed hull and turret armor values as well. Looks like the ELC surprisingly got some frontal hull and turret armor buffs. I'm going to skip ahead here. The AMX Chaffee view range increased from 380 to 390 meters. So those of you that own an AMX Chaffee, you got a slight view range buff on your AMX Chaffee. And your S35CA, I believe this is a Tier 5 tank destroyer. I can't remember if it's premium or not. View range reduced from 400 to 340 meters. So big nerf bat hit there to the view range. There's a lot of German tanks now that have been changed and updated to HD as well. The Hummel updated to HD, Panzer 35T updated to HD, Jagdpanzer 4, Marder 2, Panzerjäger, Sturmpanzer, Sturmemil had some serious buffs to terrain resistance and rotation speeds on both suspension types, so the Sturmemil getting some love there with some buffs to its overall performance. Panzer 38 NA updated to HD. The Leopard 1 Tier 10 medium tank got a slight rate of fire increase from 9 to 8.7 seconds on the reload time. So Leopard 1 getting a little bit of love. Panther 2 getting the opposite of love, but it's not a huge hit with the nerf bat. In fact, it's pretty much nothing worth complaining about. Hull health burn per second increased from 130.5 to 135. So if a Panther 2 gets set on fire, it will take more damage if it burns. That's nothing worth complaining about, right? I'm lying, obviously. You should go to the forums and cry about that for days on end. The Nashorn had some changes, basically buffs overall to its on-the-move dispersion values, so it will be more accurate during its excuse me, while it is moving. I'm trying to get down to the British and Russian tanks at this point here. So British tanks, we've got a couple big changes that I would like to point out. The Carnarvon was updated to HD. It also has some changes to its turret armor values. The Centurion Mark II turret changed from 165 front, 112 side, and 112 rear to 198 front, 152 side, and 95 rear. That also goes for the Conqueror, which was also updated to HD and now has buffs to its Centurion Mark III turret. Its armor values there going from 165 front, 112 side, 112 rear to 198 in the front, 152 in the side, and 95 in the rear. So increased frontal and side turret armor, but worse rear turret armor. Now the Conqueror Mark II turret itself, displayed armor values changed from 152 in the front, 89 in the side, and 70 in the rear, to 254 in the front, 89 in the side, and 70 in the rear. So the fully upgraded Conqueror with the Conqueror Mark II turret, significant armor buff to the front of the Conqueror's turret. That's always nice to see. The Cromwell and the Cromwell Knight have both been updated to HD. And what was it? Conqueror gun carriage changes to accuracy and aim time. The shot dispersion radius increased from 1.1 to 1.2, so an accuracy nerf to the Conqueror gun carriage. And the aim time has been increased from 8.5 to 8.8, so it will aim slower and be a little bit less accurate after each shot. Trying to find the Russian tanks now. Oh, here's another one. FV304. This is Bert the Avenger. Changes to terrain resistance, hull rotation speed, accuracy, and aim time. The Bert the Avenger got hit with the nerf bat a little bit here, but nothing substantial. The FV304 terrain resistance has been increased, meaning it will not move around as well with both its stock and its upgraded suspension. Remember, decreases to terrain resistances mean it will accelerate and maintain top speed better during maneuvers such as turning, and increases mean that it is worse. So it won't turn as well, it won't accelerate as well, so on and so forth. The stock and upgraded suspension also received rotation speed decreases by about 2 degrees each, and the movement and rotation dispersion factors on the upgraded suspension have also been increased just a tad. The quick-firing 25-pounder turret rotation dispersion factor increased by a fair margin. The shot dispersion radius increased after shot from 5 to 6, and the aim time increased from 4.5 to 4.8. And the final 4.5-inch gun, turret rotation dispersion factor increased from 0.36 to 0.42, shot dispersion radius increased after shot from 5 to 6, and aim time increased from 4.5 to 4.8. So your Bert the Avenger will now not quite move around as well. It's not quite as nimble, and the gun handling is not as good. It will simply aim in a little bit more slowly, and that's basically it there. The FV-4005 Stage 2 Death Star 2 got a health buff from 1850 to 1950, and the aim time was decreased from 3 to 2.7. That's basically it that I want to cover there. Some changes to US tanks. I'm looking for a specific one. Where the heck is it? Again, lots of changes to the HD tanks. T-110E5 updated to HD. Turret displayed armor values changed from 203 front, 127 side, 70 rear to 203 front, 127 side, and 76 rear. Massive armor buff to the T-110E5! I'm just kidding. The Super Pershing has been updated to HD, and there have been slight changes to the health as well. The hull health has increased from 1160 to 1200, so there will be a little bit more health on the Super Pershing. And the displayed armor values have changed, but keep in mind that the displayed armor values do not take into account the spaced armor plating on the Super Pershing in particular. Top upper hull effective armor changed from 223mm to 287mm. The lower upper hull effective armor changed from 299mm to 287mm. So basically, both those spaced armor plates on the front of the Super Pershing are now 287mm effective armor values. The very top and bottom of the front hull was roughly 40mm weaker than the main section before this change. This change provides better overall protection for your upper hull. That's basically how that goes. But hey, look, the number decreased! It's a Super Pershing nerf! It's what I've been warning you about all this time! Oh my god! Okay, I'm done. I'm sorry. The Freedom. Basically, the exact same changes were made to the Freedom Special Super Pershing as were made to the regular Super Pershing. The T-110E4 was updated to HD, and the displayed armor values were changed from 254 front, 76 side, 38 rear, to 260 front, 76 side, and 38 rear. 6mm more displayed armor. The M48A1 patent was updated to HD, and there were changes to turret rotation accuracy and overall accuracy. The hull armor on the patent was changed. The displayed armor values changed from 110 in the front, 76 in the side, and 35 in the rear, to 152 in the front, 76 in the side, and 38 in the rear. The 105mm T5E1 M2 gun shot dispersion during turret rotation decreased from 0.12 to 0.1, and shot dispersion radius decreased from 0.4 to 0.38. I do not believe this is the top gun on the M48A1 patent. I believe this is the second gun that you unlock for free when you first research the M48A1 patent. So it should make the grind on the patent easier when you're going for that top gun. T110E3 changes to view range and invisibility after shot. So the T110E3 had its view range reduced from 400 to 390, and it will also retain less camouflage when it is shooting as well. The 155mm AT gun, the reload time was increased from 17 to 19, so this means it will also shoot more slowly. The T23E3 Tier 7 Premium Medium Tank, there are changes to the piercing power. The stock M79 changed from 128mm penetration to 149, and the M93 Premium APCR round changed from 177 to 190, so a couple buffs to the T23E3. The M41 Bulldog got hit with the Nerf bat a fair bit. The M41 turret with the 76mm gun, the reload time increased from 3.1 to 3.3 seconds. The M41A1 turret had reload time increases on the 76mm M32, 76mm T91E5, and 76mm M32 late autoloader guns. I got that backwards. My mistake. The 76mm M32, 76mm M32 late, and 76mm T91E5 autoloader gun. They all had reload time increases, so your gun will not shoot as quickly with the M41 Walker Bulldog. Scrolling down, still looking for the US tanks. The T-30 Tier 9 turreted tank destroyer in the US tech tree. With the stock and upgraded suspension, you have movement dispersion factors decreased, so the T-30 will maintain better accuracy on the move with the stock and the upgraded suspension. And with the final 155mm gun, the shot dispersion radius was decreased from 0.39 to 0.37, so a slight accuracy buff and on the move gun handling buff to the T-30. And the T-95 also has changes to maintaining its camo rating after shooting. It now has less camo rating after shooting each shot. Sorry about that. I keep moving my mouse too high, and I apologize for that. So here we are with USSR, or as I say, Russian tanks. And there's one that I want to go to for sure right before I end this video. We've got a couple changes to some of the high-tier tank destroyers. The Object 263 changes to view range and invisibility after shot. We've got a view range decreased from 410 to 390, and invisibility after shot decreased from 0.255 to 0.153. So again, view range reduction as well as not as much camo after firing. The Object 268 changes to reverse speed and invisibility at shot. The reverse speed has been decreased in the Object 268 from 18 km an hour to 15 km an hour, and the invisibility after shot has been decreased from 0.233 to 0.143, so again, not maintaining as much of a camo value after shooting. The T-34 has a view range buff from 240 to 320, so about 80 meters, of extra view range on the T-34. The Object 704 had a view range reduction from 390 to 360 meters, as well as, again, not maintaining as good of a camo rating after shooting with both the 152mm derp gun and the 152mm BL-10. Now here's one that I'm excited for. The IS-8, updated to HD, changes to shot dispersion and aim time. The hull displayed armor values are changed from 120 in the front, 80 in the side, and 60 in the rear, to 120 in the front, 120 in the side, and 60 in the rear. Looks like a pretty significant side armor buff there to the IS-8. The suspension T10, this is the upgraded suspension on the IS-8. Movement and rotation dispersion factors decreased from 0.23 to 0.21. Sorry, this is the stock suspension, my mistake. And the T10M upgraded suspension, again, movement and rotation dispersion factors decreased from 0.21 to 0.19, so you will maintain better accuracy on the move with the IS-8, giving it better gun handling. The turret T10 displayed armor values changed from 201 in the front, 148 in the side, and 50 in the rear, to 201 in the front, 129 in the side, and 90 in the rear. The 122mm M62 T2 gun aim time decreased from 3.4 to 3.2. That is with the stock T10 turret. Now with the upgraded T10M turret, displayed armor values changed from 201 in the front, 148 in the side, and 50 in the rear, to 250 in the front, 201 in the side, and 90 in the rear. So significant turret armor buff to the IS-8. Looking forward to playing that one myself. And the 122mm M62 T2 Top Gun aim time decreased from 2.9 to 2.8. Really looking forward to rolling out in my IS-8 as soon as I can. One last one that I'm going to list before I end this video, as this is almost 25 minutes already. The T62A has been updated to HD, and the hull armor values the hull displayed armor values have changed from 102 in the front, 75 in the side, and 45 in the rear, to 100 in the front, 80 in the side, and 45 in the rear. So a tiny difference in frontal hull armor and a little bit of a difference in the side armor on the T62A as well. So that's pretty much all I would like to go through myself, trying to highlight the most significant changes with this update as best as I can. Obviously, there was no way I was going to get through that quickly, so I just wanted to go through what I could. If you would like to pour over these more in depth on your own time, I'll include a link in the description below Be sure to check them out and peruse through them on your own time. I highly recommend it so that you stay up to date on every little thing that has changed in World of Tanks and you don't wind up having things take you by surprise. So with that being said, this has been Mobius Y. As always, thank you very much for watching. Hope to see you on the battlefield or in my next video. And happy tanking!